Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I'm Rocio, and in this video I wanted to share my must-have items and tips for surviving your first trimester. I say surviving because this is my second pregnancy, and both times the first trimester really feels like the hardest. Sometimes it just feels like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to go through this for 40 weeks, and that's not always the case. Usually the first trimester, these first 12 weeks are the hardest, and then afterwards, hopefully, things will get progressively better. If this is your first pregnancy, first of all, congratulations. I wanted to just start off the video by saying that and to remind you to give yourself some grace. You're gonna be reading a lot of things, you're gonna be feeling a lot of things are gonna be changing, and you might feel a little overwhelmed, especially if you haven't really shouted the news to the world yet. So it can feel a little isolating, it can feel a little daunting sometimes, but just give yourself some grace, listen to your body, take some notes from this video, and hopefully that first trimester will be a little easier for you. But before I get started, if this is your first time visiting me today, welcome. Like I said, my name is Rocio Isabel, and I cover content around lifestyle, curls, and mommyhood. So if that's something that you're interested in, hit that subscribe button before you leave, and don't forget to hit the notification bell, because the notification bell will notify you every time I upload a new video here on YouTube. And you can follow me on Instagram at La Rocio Isabel. So let's get started. So the first thing you want to do when you find out that you're pregnant, if you haven't done so already, go get some prenatals. This is probably the most important must-have item that you are going to need in your pregnancy, not just in your first trimester, but in all 40 weeks. I like the Nature-Made prenatals. These are the ones that I used in my first pregnancy with Penelope, and these are my go-to now. This pregnancy, I used this for about a week and a half, and then I was reminded by all of my online friends that everybody and your mama was using Ritual prenatals. So I ordered the Ritual prenatals. I felt nauseous. I felt sick the whole day, and I took it for a couple of days because I always hear great things about the Ritual prenatal, to the point where I was like, this is just not for me. It's not, nope, I don't like it. So I went back to the Nature-Made brand. This is the prenatal that is the multivitamin with the DHA. It has the right amount of folate or folic acid that I need for my growing baby. So this is one that I always recommend to people that are first-time moms, that are, pregnant for the first time, because it's the one that worked best for me. Another first trimester must-have that I would highly recommend is to find a water bottle that you are just obsessed with and carry that around with you wherever you go. And I say that because you want to stay hydrated as much as possible. I find that what's more important than just water alone is cold water. Like, the colder the water, the better. You're also going to find that at some point in your pregnancy, you're going to get sick of water. So if you add things like, I like to add cucumber to my water to add a little bit of flavor. If you want to add ginger or lemon or mints or strawberries or whatever your little heart desires that will make water a little bit more tolerable, then do that. But water is so important. To be like 1,000% honest, that's my only must-have. What a way to start the video, Rocio. Everything else I feel like is sort of hit or miss depending on the person, because every pregnancy is different. There are some things that I'm going to recommend that I didn't use in the first pregnancy because I didn't feel like I needed it, but in this pregnancy I absolutely have to have it. There are also some things that I found other people recommend to me that I feel like I just don't need it in this pregnancy, and I probably didn't need it in the first one. But these are all things that have helped me in my pregnancies. And if you are somebody who's watching that has been pregnant before and you're like, Rocio, I have a tip, this definitely works, then leave it down in the comment below. I'm sure that we can all just learn from each other. I want to start off with nausea, with morning sickness. When I was pregnant the first time, I thought morning sickness was just like in the morning, and that morning sickness was mainly just vomiting, because I heard from my mother that in all 3 of her pregnancies that she would throw up first thing in the morning and just be like fine for the rest of the day, but that she would do that every day for the entire pregnancy. So when I was pregnant the first time, I didn't experience any vomiting, but I had nausea all day, and that was the worst symptom and probably the biggest deterrent of me wanting to get pregnant again, until my body just tricked me into thinking I could do it again, I guess. I don't know. So in this pregnancy, I have been suffering from nausea, all day nausea again, and from vomiting. So that's the difference between the two pregnancies. I also want to say that I do not have HG. I've been reached out to a couple times on Instagram saying, oh, you should talk to your doctor because HG is a thing. And there are some pregnancies where women are losing 10 pounds that are losing more than 5% of their body fat because of the nausea and the vomiting. They're vomiting more than once a day. They have extreme dehydration. They're dizzy, feeling like they need to faint all the time. That's an actual thing that you can consult with your doctor and see if there are more extreme measures or medications that you can take that is going to be safe for your pregnancy, but also better for you in dealing with these first trimester symptoms. Now, while I don't have HG, my provider thought that I had symptoms that were pretty bad enough for me to be given prescription strength medication. So I want to start off with things that you can take to help with the nausea and then finish with what I'm actually taking now if what I was doing at first is just not helping. Ginger. If you can get your hands on raw ginger and make tea for yourself, add some ginger to your water, or just gnaw on the ginger, that will be extremely helpful when it comes to calming down or easing the nausea. Ginger ale was really big for me. I love to add ginger ale to really crushed ice and eat it with a spoon. That for me was better than just drinking ginger ale by itself. These ginger teas, I like the Traditional Medicinals brand. It's the organic lemon and ginger tea. Another thing that has helped are ginger candies. This is also by Traditional Medicinals, and these are the organic Morning Ease lemon ginger candy. These helped me tremendously in the first pregnancy and have helped so much in this pregnancy as well. I did not find that Preggy Pops or Prego Pops worked for me. Those are like also some little nausea candies that are targeted towards pregnant women. You can find them literally everywhere, but I found that in the first pregnancy, they didn't help at all. So if you can get your hands on these, I would highly recommend them. I'll leave links to everything I mentioned down in the description box below in case it's helpful. But yes, anything with ginger can help relieve nausea. I would also recommend eating small snacks more frequently. If you can, every 2 hours, every 3 hours. For me, every 3 hours is kind of pushing it. If you wait until you're hungry, you will be nauseous to the point where you feel like you have to throw up, to the point where you don't really even want to eat. And the whole point is to eat, to try to eat whatever you can stomach. So you get more nauseous when you're hungry or if you feel like you're starving. But on top of that, you also feel nauseous whenever you're full. So eating smaller meals, or like I said, snacks more often throughout the day will definitely help. If you can eat like crackers or toast or chips or anything that you can just like nibble on right before going to bed, if you can eat it in bed, even better. And then keep some more next to your bed for whenever you have to wake up in the middle of the night to go pee, because that's kind of inevitable now that we're pregnant. If I have to wake up in the middle of the night, I get so mad because the second I wake up, I'm nauseous. So having some sort of snack next to your bed for the middle of the night, that's important. But what I find to be the most important of all is having something ready to eat as soon as you open your eyes in the morning. You know what? Don't even wait to open your eyes. If you are awake and your eyes are closed, eat it. Eat what you can, even before you open your eyes, because that for me is like the hardest point of the day. I like to snack on these little bars. It's the Kind Vanilla Blueberry Chewy with the Crunch bars. Just one bite first thing in the morning, and I'm okay for the most part. I'm not even gonna lie. For the most part, I'm okay. Between 80-90% of the time, it's still a miss. I still throw up. I still feel nauseous, but at least I tried, right? I guess what I'm trying to say is do what you can to try to beat the nausea before it gets to you. That's all I got. Sometimes a lot of these remedies just don't work and you still feel extremely nauseous and you still have food aversions and the smells of things just get to you and you find yourself vomiting and you can't control it. Consult with your doctor, consult with your OB, consult with your midwife, whomever it may be that can prescribe something stronger for you. Do that. When I finally was able to meet with my midwife, she actually told me about a combination of vitamin B6 and Unisom. So B6 is supposed to help calm the symptom of the nausea. The Unisom is supposed to help you sleep better at night and has a little bit of doxylamine, because Sometimes when you're going through the nausea, sleeping tends to be a little difficult. So if you're able to sleep through the nausea, then that makes things better, right? She told me to take the B6 in the morning and the Unisom at night. On top of that, if needed, she had prescribed prescription strength doxylamine and promethazine. Again, this was just if I absolutely felt like I needed it. Both of these prescriptions are also safe in your first trimester. So again, while I felt comfortable taking it, I only took it if I felt like I absolutely needed it, and I absolutely could not take the nausea. But again, talk to your doctor, your OB, your midwife, whoever is your healthcare provider during this pregnancy, and see what will work best for you and your body and your pregnancy. Something that didn't actually work for me that I would like to bring up because it might actually work for you are C-bands. I know some women that swear by C-bands, and they're just these two little tension wristbands with these little notches on them that sort of like hit your pressure point on what is said to relieve the nausea symptoms. Did not help me when I was pregnant with Penelope, and it did not help me in this pregnancy at all. I bought them, they were a waste of money, but again, if you're looking for remedies and you're just like, maybe I should try this out, give it a shot. It might actually help you. Another thing that I would recommend is to get some fresh air. I found personally that if I'm inside for long periods of time, I feel the nausea sort of starting to creep up on me. But if I'm outside just breathing in the fresh air, it sort of helps to relieve it a little bit. So I found myself eating my breakfast outside, trying to get work done outside, playing with Penelope outside as much as I could. We are in the middle of the summer, so I wasn't outside for long periods of time, but wherever I could fit in some time outside to get some fresh air, I did that. So it's just another little tip that might help. Okay, so moving on from the topic of nausea and vomiting, let's talk about the fact that our bodies are changing. In this first trimester, you are going through bloat, and everything that you wear is going to feel uncomfortable if it's just like hugging your body. So any skinny jeans, any tight shorts, any tight shirts, bras that you normally wore before being pregnant, panties that you were normally wearing before pregnant, a lot of that is going to change. I'm not saying you have to go out right away and buy maternity everything, because times are changing now and there are more fashion trends that I feel are comfortable and still cute for pregnant women. If you can find dresses with stretch in them or flowy dresses or anything that, like I said, is just gonna feel comfortable on your body, go for that. If you are still concealing your pregnancy or not telling anyone yet, wear something that might hide the belly a little bit more. If y'all are interested, I can share some fashion tips on what I wore in this first trimester to rock the bump or conceal the bump. If that's something that you're interested in, let me know in a comment below. But whether it's bloat or actual growing of the belly, one thing that I would highly recommend is to find some sort of body oil or belly butter or whatever it may be to moisturize not just your belly, but also your breast and your thighs and your butt and sometimes even your arms and underarm areas, because these are all going to grow and these are all potential areas for stretch marks. If your mom has stretch marks, there's a greater chance that you're going to have the stretch marks no matter how much you apply these oils and butters and creams. Now, it doesn't hurt to apply them and to do what you can to try to prevent them, but stretch marks are hereditary. And if your mama has them, chances are you're probably gonna get them. In my pregnancy, my go-to oil was bio oil, and I put that all over my belly, all over my back, all over my butt, everywhere except for my thighs. And guess where I got the stretch marks? On my thighs. So this pregnancy, I put it everywhere that there could be potential growth. Now, my mom does not have stretch marks on her belly from any of the 3 pregnancies. So again, it's hereditary, possibly the reason why I didn't get stretch marks on my belly this first time, but nevertheless, still want to do what I can to try to prevent the stretch marks. One of the symptoms that a lot of women go through in their first trimester is exhaustion. You feel tired all of the time. Of course you feel tired. You are growing a child inside of you. There are body parts being made. There are organs that are growing. So rest as much as you possibly can. In that first pregnancy, I was napping, I was sleeping early, I was sleeping in. I took advantage of as much sleep as I could, especially because I didn't have a baby at the time. I was growing one. Now I have a 2-year-old. So sleep is a little harder to come by. If you have to talk to your partner and say, hey, I need you to watch the baby or our kids or whatever for a little bit so I can get some shut eye, whether it's 30 minutes, whether it's an hour, take advantage of the nap, take advantage of the sleep, because your body is going through a lot of changes. You need to rest. And then also, as bad as it may sound, sleep as much as you can now, because things will change when the baby comes. Another tip that I have is to try to reduce stress as much as possible. I know in the first trimester, especially if you haven't shared the news quite yet and you're trying to consume as much media about pregnancies or first trimester tips as possible, it can be a little challenging sometimes because it's just a lot coming at you and you don't know if you're doing things right, you don't know if you're doing things wrong, you don't know if you're eating the right things, if you don't know if you're, et cetera, right? So you want to try to reduce the stress as much as possible. If you can share the news with a friend, with a family member, somebody that you trust, that you can have those conversations with, especially an experienced mom that won't give unsolicited advice, that is something that's really, really huge. So just like I said, find a friend in this pregnancy, a belly buddy, if you will. We had a very minor pregnancy scare in this first trimester with some cramping and some bleeding that was the result of stress, like high level stress. So just calm down. Like my mom says, put your foot on high pillows and just relax, and then just try to fill this first trimester and the rest of your pregnancy with positive thoughts. So 2 things. Number 1, the What to Expect When You're Expecting book is super cliche when it comes to being pregnant, but is incredibly helpful. It's like the Bible of pregnancy. It has every single thing that you can think of when you are pregnant, all of your symptoms, all of the, issues that you're going to be going through, all the good, bad, and the ugly will be found in this book. So if you have not read it and you're a first-time mom or even a second-time mom, I would highly recommend that book. Even the book, What to Expect the First Year, I was like, I don't have time for this. My sister got that for me. Oh my God, you guys, I turned to this book in Penelope's 3rd month and I was so relieved because it had all the answers to all the questions that I had. So those are books that I would highly recommend. Another thing that I would recommend would be pregnancy apps. My favorite app is the Pregnancy Plus app. There's also the What to Expect app. There are a variety of apps that can help you during your pregnancy journey. I recommend the Pregnancy Plus app mainly because of all the information that it gives. It also shows like a 3D image of what your baby looks like in the different stages or weeks that it's in. It shows what your growing belly would look like. It gives you information on symptoms. It gives you information on your visits with your doctors, et cetera. That's an app that I would recommend, but there are tons of others out there that can fit your pregnancy needs. My last tip is to join a Facebook due date group. This is something that I feel has definitely helped lift my spirits in this particular pregnancy. It's not something that I did when I was pregnant with Penelope because I didn't even know that they had existed. But if you type in like babies due and then your due date month and then your due date year, you're bound to find a Facebook group of women that are expecting around the same time or same month that you're going to be expecting as well. You can find women sharing about their cravings. You'll share milestones, doctor visits that are coming up, these kinds of things. Anything that you can expect to go through in your pregnancy, you're bound to find somebody who is going through exactly the same thing, especially if you haven't delivered the news yet to anybody, because I know some women like to hide their pregnancy in their first trimester. That in itself can be a little isolating. So just being a part of a Facebook group or community of women that are going through the same thing that you're going through, especially if they're due at the same time that you're due, is just a blessing, and just again bringing a little more positivity to your pregnancy. If you liked all these tips, then please give this video a big thumbs up. If you have any other tips to share, then please leave them down in a comment below just to help answer anybody else's questions that they might have about the first trimester. You can find me on Instagram at La Rocio Isabel. Don't forget to subscribe if you have not subscribed already. And that's basically it. I love y'all. Un besito. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Trimester.
Trimester.
You don't say tresticle. You say tricycle. You don't say tragle. There's 3 of them.
The second trimester. It's the first trimester, and then it's the second and third
say
trimester.
Trimester correctly, but you don't say first.
Trimester.